Hello Internet, AdoptedMike here. In this video I'm going to take a look at the EVGA Hadron Air. This is their case line for mini ITX systems. We do have a built-in power supply in there, and we can take a look real quick at the cables coming off of it. We've got two SATAs here, and then we have some Molex. We've got two Molex there. Then we have another Molex around the corner with two more Molex on it. We've got the 4+4 for the CPU power. Way back in here we have two 8-pins for GPU on a very short one, so that's ideal because the GPU does get mounted right there. Then we have the 20+4 pin for the motherboard, as well as the power switch and power LED. And we have a front panel audio header there and a USB 3.0. No reset switch or hard drive activity LED. However, I suppose if you really wanted to, you could probably hook up the power LED to the hard drive LED, but I think that might be kind of not cool anyway, but I suppose it is an option. Anyway, we're kind of spinning around there. We take a look at the front of the case, and then we've got the back side. Note here there is no motherboard cutout for the CPU cooler, so you will have to install the CPU cooler before you install the motherboard into the case. We've got a couple of USB 3.0 ports down here and the audio jacks right there. Then take a look at the back. We've got our two expansion slots down there. We've got the 80+ gold power supply little fan out here. Well, I'm curious about the noise on that. I've heard it's not that loud, but you know, like I said, I'll have to hear it for myself. Got a good little power switch there. And then flipping it around back, we'll take a look. We've got a slim optical bay here, and we've got two 3.5-inch hard drive little caddies there. So anyway, we also on the top we've got two exhaust fans up here of 120 millimeters. You would not be able to install a radiator, I don't believe, like a 240 radiator. You may be able to still get a 120 millimeter radiator up here, no problem. We will definitely take a look at that as we move on. So yeah, so anyway, that is a good look around the case, and we'll take a peek at the accessories here. Alright, so first of all, we have some SATA cables. They are both right angle, so there's a pair of right angles there, which is interesting because most of the time the motherboard includes those, but in this case we have the case including them. We've got an EVGA powered by EVGA badge here that is made out of aluminum, I'm guessing. It does not bend very easily, so it's definitely metal. We've got a sticker. I guess I really don't care for it, but I'm assuming this would go on the side panel window should you choose to do that. Got some screws, some more little screws. We've got some cable management little plastic deals. It does come with a power cord. Here is the bracket for the slim DVD drive, and then we have a multilingual manual. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get on with putting a build in this system, and we'll see how it goes. So I've installed a motherboard in the case here and done some real rough cable management to kind of just see how everything goes together. The board I'm using is the Gigabyte GAF2A88XN-WIFI model, so it's a socket FM2 AMD board. And a couple things I want to point out, and some of it is just because this is a kind of a different board. The CPU socket's in a little bit different location, so it makes things a little weird. I've pointed out in a couple other videos with this board as well too. But one of the big things is this USB 3.0 cable from the case could not reach the USB 3.0 header on the motherboard, so I had to convert it to a USB 2.0 with this little dongle, and I'll have to see if they actually make a 3.0 extension. I mean, it was just missing it by hardly anything, like an inch, and had this been the stock cooler, it would have made it, because it could have just gone over it, but this wouldn't make it over it, so I tried to snake it around. I mean, it was just missing the header, which is up top there, and the SATA ports are up there as well too, so it's just next to the SATA port way up there, and it just was missing it. So that's kind of unfortunate. Like I said, this board is a little bit of a weird board anyway, and I've got some cable management going on. Not sure if I like it. I might change it up a little bit. We'll see. After I get a GPU mounted in there, I'll see how everything kind of looks and flows. But so far, it's not the best cable management oriented case. Thank God these cables provided are shorter than standard power supply cables, so it's going to make it a little bit easier to not have to tuck so much away. But like I said, I may change this 24 pin around a bit later too. We'll just see what the GPU does. So anyway, I'm going to get on and install the GPU. So currently, the biggest GPU physical size wise that I have is a EVGA GTX 580. So I'm actually going to attempt to get this in. I can tell immediately that it will be somewhat of a tight fit. I'm definitely going to have to do something different as far as cable management goes to get this thing in. So anyway, I will we'll see how this works. Maybe I can't get this in, but I sure as shit am gonna try. So I learned that it was actually easiest to put the GPU in by I had to redo all of my cable management. So I took all of the disconnected all the cables, and then I was able to get it in. I couldn't quite shoehorn it in with the cables in place, so I had to wrap the cables over it after it was already installed, like so. So anyway, this is kind of how that ended up. And I did realize one thing about the SATA cables that are included with the Hadron case. They are definitely quite a bit shorter, because I mean, here you have, here's the Hadron cable, and then this is like the SATA cable that comes with the Gigabyte motherboard. So it's about, you know, half the length, and that makes up all the difference when installing or when routing the cables. So basically I have it kind of pre-wired here. I've got I don't know if you can't quite tell on the display or not. I have it ready to, okay, there we go. I've got power and data back there ready to install an SSD, and I should just be able to connect those and then slide the SSD in. So anyway, we'll do that and get to putting the rest of it together. Take a look around the back here. Got the back side of the GPU installed, so now we'll just screw that in place. Here is the back side. Oh, and one other thing I was going to point out as well too, I went ahead and removed the front panel audio because I just didn't like the way it looked, kind of draped over the graphics card here. And I figure, well, I mean, you've got your front panel audio is right there, but I mean, really, you got your rear audio right here. And my opinion was the front panel audio on a small case, they're not necessarily needed anyway. So I just did without that cable, as you can see. So now let's start putting it together. Alright, so we're back and the build is complete. And just on a little side note here, what was about a second for you guys in that little transition that just happened was actually 2 months or better to me. So there might be some continuity errors or differences in this in the end of this video, just because time has passed. I just kind of, I don't know what happened. It got set off to the side, and I finally got back to it, and I realized I probably need to get rid of this thing, or sell it, or use it, or something, because it was just sitting there starting to collect some dust. So we got it all dusted off, and ready to finish the video. So let's go ahead and do like my final thoughts, if you will. First of all, very glossy. That's good and bad. As you can see a good portion of my room in the reflection. That can be a pain in the ass to keep clean, especially if you get a lot of fingerprints and such on it. But other than that, some people like it, some people don't. To me, it's nice. It looks very elegant and classy, so I like that. Most like anything else, the window's reflective as well too. No big deal. Kind of everybody's used to that. It's got some gloss there. One of my main concerns that we're going to get to in a second here is how loud is that power supply? A lot of times you see those little bitty fans like this, and when they ramp up, in order to get the same CFM, they have to have way high RPMs compared to a bigger fan. You see these in sometimes, not necessarily that small, but sometimes you see those in like 1U servers or 2U servers on the CPU, because you just can't fit a big fan to cool the CPU, and then they can get kind of obnoxious under full load. And that's why usually servers are typically a lot louder. But anyway, kind of curious, how is this fan going to do? So we're about to find out. I expect that it will, a lot of noise will be from that CPU cooler. I've had the opportunity to use it more in other builds, and it is not the most quiet. One of the things is it's a 3-pin fan, and like this particular motherboard is going to try to PWM it, and it can't. So it's going to give a full 12 volts to it. So I do expect it to be a little more noisy. That part of the fan, the 580, yeah, that'll be quiet as hell, because they usually are until you actually put them under load. But anyway, let's go ahead and give this a fire up, and we'll take a listen. We'll take a listen to the fan. I'll put the microphone of the camera a little close. This is, like I said, my main concern with the whole case is going to be how loud that is. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. That wasn't bad. I don't think it's actually turning right now. Yeah, my suspicion was correct. I can definitely tell that that fan is, the CPU fan that is louder. I don't feel any exhaust coming out of the 580, or very little, so most of the noise I'm hearing right now definitely is probably the CPU fan. Let's see, and I can confirm that over here. I can just double check. Oh yes, it's got the CPU fan is running at almost like 31.5 RPMs, or 3100.5 RPMs. So that's probably about maxed out for that fan. Our system fan speed, which is going to be the top fans, is also running at 100%, and that's registering at about 1700, maybe to 1800 RPMs. It doesn't sound loud. I'm guessing, I'm feeling like everything is coming from that. These fans up here actually aren't that loud, and they move a decent amount of air. Yeah, so anyway, that wasn't horrible with the power supply, I don't feel. It's definitely not moving any air right now. It probably won't be in gold rated. I bet it doesn't kick on until a certain temperature or a certain load. So I feel pretty good about that. Maybe heavy duty, it'll start to spin up a little more. Obviously, if you hear it at its loudest, there may be something wrong with like an airflow issue or a dust issue, so you might want to look into that. I'm just kind of rambling here as thoughts are coming to me. One thing I will say, I would definitely recommend getting a blower style video card. No matter what it is, get the blower style for this particular case, because as I'm understanding the airflow in it, we're going to pull some airflow from the front and up, and obviously out the top. So we're going to get some cool air to that blower, and then it's going to heat it up and push it out. Now, if we're bringing in cold air and then the GPU is heating it and then exhausting it throughout the case, I think we're going to just start to heat everything up top of it a little more. There's just not enough room for that heat to go. There's no fan back here helping, so all of your exhaust is coming out of the top. And don't get me wrong, it's a fair amount of flow up here. but I think it'd probably just be best to have the GPU, which is, you know, probably the hottest thing in this system, getting that heat out. So I'm going to stick with a recommendation on that for sure. But other than that, I mean, I feel like this case is pretty cool. It's got a different look to it. I don't know if it is actually, I mean, obviously it's made for like LAN. You could take it to a LAN party and stuff, or you could just use it for your own home system. LAN, you know, you might start scratching it up a little bit, this nice glossy surface in the front or the window. The back side of it isn't that big of a deal. You know, it's just painted metal. But the front, yeah, you may scratch it up a little bit. It may be undesirable, but it's still fairly lightweight as well, and it would work quite well for a portable gaming system. I mean, and you got plenty of hard drive space for it as well too. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely recommend this case if you're looking for kind of a sexy mini ITX, kind of, you know, as small as it can be. Lian Li does some pretty neat ones as well too, which may or may not, depending on what you're looking at, be about similarly priced to this, depending on rebates. I've seen this one go on sale a bit in the past couple of months, so it may be available to get it at a great price, and it might be something that you'd want to pick up and go with. The only omission on it that I think that they made a mistake on is some kind of integrated handle, even if it was on the sides, to where you could pick, you know, you could grab it like this and pick it up. There's really no good place to grab it. I mean, your fingers can kind of fit in here. I mean, I suppose you could get it like this or sideways, but there really isn't a great one-handed way to do it, because in my opinion a one-handed way would be awesome to carry this particular case, being it's just so small and light. I mean, my hand fits across it, you know. It's just, there's just not much to it. It's kind of a cute little case. But anyway, that wraps up my you know, review and little build in a EVGA Hadron Air. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give me the thumbs down. And in the comment section below, tell me what you guys think of this case, or gals for that matter. What you think. Would you do a build in this case? Is it stupid? What do you think? Let me know. And as always, thanks for watching.